You ever have a day where something so small, like a child tugging at your jacket, just knocks the wind right out of you? That was me. 5 years ago, I was all about business, black sedans, tight schedules, the world moving so fast you stop noticing the stuff that actually matters. But on that burning hot day, stepping out of my car, I felt this little icy hand on my sleeve, and it was like the universe just hit pause. I looked down, and there she was, this kid, couldn't have been more than 8, hair a mess. Eyes so big and dark it was like she'd been holding in 1,000 storms. Voice small but clear. Please, sir. My mom's too weak to beg anymore. She can't even stand up. I need help. I swear to you. I've walked past hundreds of folks on those streets. I trained myself not to look, kept my eyes glued to my phone, pretended none of it existed. 'Cause that's easier, right? Keeps your conscience quiet. But that day, something about the way she said, too weak to beg, it just broke something in me. Maybe because it was the most raw kind of survival I'd ever seen. I surprised myself. Where's your mom? I asked, and the way this kid's face changed, hope lighting up behind all that sadness. Man, I just wasn't ready. She grabbed my hand and led me away from the mirrored towers, down streets that got more tired with every step, until we found this old, rusted-out sedan parked behind a shuttered restaurant. Inside was her mom, Patricia, looking maybe 30, but aged past that, skin gray, breathing rough, lying across the seats under a blanket that couldn't hide how small she'd become. She tried to smile, still polite, still telling her daughter not to bother me. You know what I mean? Even in her worst moment, she's worried about me, not about herself. That kind of humility, it cuts deep. They'd been living in that car 3 months. Patricia lost her job after getting sick, couldn't pay rent. Thought she'd bounce back, but you know how this country is. Get sick once, lose your footing, and the world just keeps moving on without you. Her daughter, Hope, was the one out there trying to get food for both of them. She'd made herself invisible to survive. And there's this moment, sitting on the curb outside their car, where I realized this wasn't just homelessness or poverty. This was a family dissolving right before my eyes, hanging on by a kid's sheer willpower and a mother's love. Hope tells me how she had to help her mom back to the car when Patricia collapsed in a parking lot. That's the day she started asking strangers for help herself, a child becoming the parent. I didn't plan what I said next. I just knew I couldn't walk away. I want to help. The look in Hope's eyes, disbelief. Then hope so intense it scared me a little. That's the moment everything shifted. It took 2 hours to get them to a hospital, my own doctor checking Patricia in. Hope clutching half a sandwich to save for her mom, always thinking about someone else. The doctor pulled me aside, voice grim. Patricia was weeks away from organ failure. That little girl saved her mother's life by grabbing my sleeve when she did. From that point, my life was never the same. Patricia started to recover, little by little. I learned her story, a smart, hard-working woman thrown away by the system. Her daughter, wise beyond her years, still clung to childhood in moments, hugging her mom, saving every crumb of food, flinching every time someone in a uniform walked by. You want to know what true courage looks like? It's an 8-year-old girl choosing to fight for her mother, refusing to give up even when everyone else looks away. I helped them get an apartment. Not charity, I told them, just a fresh start. I offered Patricia a job at my company. I needed someone like her more than she needed me, honestly. She cried when I told her, and I'll never forget Hope walking into her own room, looking at a bed covered in books and sunlight, saying, "But the best part is Mama has her own room, too." Yeah, that happened. I watched them rebuild. Patricia turned out to be brilliant at the job, keeping me sane at work, making me a better man. Hope started making friends, playing at recess, learning how to be a child again. There was this one day, she brought me a crayon drawing, 3 people in front of a tall building. "It's our family," she said, matter of fact, like it was the most obvious thing in the world. And you know what? It was. Not a normal family, but the family we made, the family we chose. That's what nobody tells you. Blood matters, but choice is what builds a real home. We started doing Sunday dinners. Patricia cooked. I brought dessert. Hope told stories and made us laugh. I'd never known anything like it. That warmth, that belonging. When Patricia's estranged sister showed up, looking to reconnect now that things were good, Patricia set the record straight. Love is earned by showing up, not just by sharing DNA. That day, She chose us, the family who'd stood by her when it counted. The work at the foundation grew. Patricia became director, using her lived experience to help hundreds of families get back on their feet. Hope, always the old soul, started a pen pal project at school to connect kids from all walks of life. The community we built, one small kindness at a time, started changing lives beyond our own. But it wasn't always smooth. There were health scares, business crises, moments when the old fears came back. I remember one winter. Patricia's illness flared up and Hope, so much older in her eyes than her years, told me, "We'll get through this, cause families worry together, not alone." And we did. Every time we did. A couple years in, I realized I was measuring my life in the wrong currency. Not profits or contracts, but how many dinners we shared, how many smiles I got from Hope after a tough day, how much peace Patricia found just sitting on the couch, safe and warm. You know, people kept asking if I was going to marry Patricia, if I wanted my own children. And honestly, I already had everything I needed. Our bond was deeper than any paper could prove. But in the end, we made it official. I adopted Hope. The judge said it was the law catching up to what had already been true in our hearts. A couple years after that, we got a call. 2 siblings needed a family. And they'd heard Hope speak at school about chosen families. We met Emma and Tyler, kids who'd lost their home, but not their hope. And just like that, our family grew again. Judge said we were proof that love makes a family, not genetics. That's about right. Now, our foundation operates in cities all over. Patricia is a national expert. Hope writes books for kids who feel lost. And our table is always set for one more. Because that's what you do when you've known hunger and loneliness and found your way back. You never know when one moment of compassion will change the whole course of your life. So, what do you think? Is kindness weakness, or is it the strongest thing we've got? Do we owe each other help when we can give it, or do we keep looking away? I want to hear what you think about family, about second chances, about the kind of world you want to live in. Let's talk about it. Because sometimes, all it takes is one person not walking away, and everything changes. You ever notice how nobody tells you what happens after the story ends? You know, the curtain falls, the crowd claps, the happily ever after flashes on the screen. But real life keeps rolling. And let me tell you, even when you think you've got it all figured out, the world's got a way of throwing you right back into the deep end. So, here we are, a couple years after Hope called me Papa James for the first time. Patricia running the foundation like she was born for it. Hope growing up into this whip-smart, big-hearted kid, and me finally starting to think. Maybe this is it. Maybe we found our calm after the storm. Funny how the universe hears you say that and just laughs. One October morning, I'm standing in the kitchen sipping coffee. Sun hitting the floor just right. Hope at the table scribbling in her journal. And I'm feeling this wave of quiet gratitude. That's when the phone rings. And it's not the good kind of call. It's my business partner, Richard, voice tight with worry. Our biggest contract just got yanked out from under us. No warning, and suddenly hundreds of jobs, not to mention the foundation's funding, are hanging by a thread. You want to talk about pressure? Try telling your family everything's fine when you're not sure if you'll be able to keep the roof over their heads, or pay for Hope's school, or keep the programs going that you know people are depending on. I went right back to working late nights, missing Sunday dinners, snapping at people who didn't deserve it. Hope noticed right away. Kids always do, you know. She made me this hand-drawn card, 3 stick figures under a rainbow. Our family is strong together, in her careful handwriting. I swear, that card did more to steady me than any business textbook ever could. Patricia, meanwhile, saw what was happening and just quietly picked up the slack. She coordinated with Richard, ran the office, kept things moving so I could fight fires. I didn't ask her to do it. She just did. That's what family does, she told me, when I tried to apologize for being distracted. You helped us. Now let us help you. You ever feel so grateful it hurts a little? It was Patricia, actually, who found the way out. What if you ask your employees to take temporary pay cuts instead of layoffs? She suggested, late one night over cold Chinese takeout. Give them the choice to stick together. So I did, and almost everyone volunteered. Said they'd rather share the burden than see anyone lose their job. I'd never been prouder of my team, or more humbled by the loyalty of people who could have just looked out for themselves. And you know what? That unity, that sense of family, pulled us through. Within months, New contracts rolled in, the company stabilized, and I learned all over again that business, at its best, is about trust, not just numbers. But the hits kept coming. Not long after, Patricia went in for a routine checkup, came home pale as a ghost. Her autoimmune disease might be progressing. The doctor said, needed more tests. I could see the old fear creep back into her eyes, the same fear I'd seen that first day in the car. She started to pull away, thinking she was protecting us. But Hope, bless that kid, just wouldn't have it. One night, Hope climbs in her mother's lap, looks her right in the eye and says, "Mama, you don't have to worry alone. We're a family. We worry together." 8 years old, sounding like a sage. I couldn't have said it better myself. We sat there, the three of us, sharing our fears, promising that whatever came, we'd face it as one. The tests came back better than expected. Relief like you wouldn't believe. But honestly, the conversation mattered more than the diagnosis. We'd become a real family, not just in good times. But when things got scary too, life started to bloom again. Hope thrived at school, Patricia's health held steady, the foundation expanded. Hope made a new friend, Emma, a girl whose family was struggling, and it was Hope who saw the signs. "She looks the way I felt back when we lived in the car," she told Patricia. So, we invited Emma over, got to know her mom, helped connect them with support. Hope's empathy, her refusal to let anyone slip through the cracks. That's our family's legacy, as much as any building or bank account. Our story started rippling out. Other business owners copied our family-friendly policies. Volunteers who'd once been clients came back to help others. Sunday dinners grew. Hope started a pen pal program for kids in different schools, so they'll know someone cares, even if it's just one person. Sometimes, I'd catch myself watching her, thinking, all this life, this happiness, this purpose, all because I didn't walk away when she grabbed my sleeve. There were setbacks, of course. Health scares, money problems. Old wounds reopened when Patricia's estranged family tried to come back around. She stood her ground, told them that real family is the people who choose you when you're down, not just when you're up. I saw her get stronger with every boundary she set. But the best part? Watching Hope turn pain into purpose. She wrote a book, Hope and Hard Times, about what it's like to be a kid without a home. Read it in schools and libraries. Got letters from other kids who said her story made them feel less alone. Even adults started opening up, saying they'd never thought about what it was like for children caught in grown-up storms. That's real impact, if you ask me. Not headlines, not awards, but the quiet way a single story can change someone's heart. Years went by. Patricia got promoted, ran programs in 3 cities. Hope was accepted into a gifted program. Started mentoring younger kids. One summer, the adoption papers for Hope went through, no dry eyes in the courthouse that day. "Now we're really, truly, officially a family forever," she said, hugging me so tight I couldn't speak. And just when I thought the circle was complete, the phone rang again, a social worker this time. "We have 2 siblings, Emma and Tyler, who need a home." They heard Hope speak about chosen families. "Would you meet them?" We did. Those kids came in guarded, scared, fiercely loyal to each other. But little by little, they let us in. And when the judge signed those papers, we were 5. 5 people who had all lost something, a home, a job, a parent, a future, and found it again together. Our Sundays are noisy now, too much laughter, spilled juice, inside jokes, and sometimes, tough conversations about the past. But there's not a day I don't look around that table and feel a sense of awe at how far we've come, how wide the chain of kindness has grown. We started as strangers, and we chose to become a family. Not because we had to, but because we wanted to. And, life still isn't perfect. There are setbacks and heartbreaks and doubts. But there's this unspoken promise between us. Nobody gets left behind. Nobody carries their burdens alone, and everyone has a seat at the table. So, let me ask you, what do you think makes a family? Is it blood, or is it the choice to stay? To help? To love when it's hardest? What would you have done that day if Hope tugged at your sleeve? Would you have kept walking, or would you have stopped? I'd love to hear your story, your thoughts, your truth, because sometimes the end of one story is just the beginning of another, and maybe, just maybe, we're all a little stronger together than we ever are alone.